Welcome. Just wanting to say hi to everybody who's on. Thanks for joining. Hopefully everybody's having a great day. I know I am. And really excited about our webinar today. This is our weekly webinar every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Hopefully everybody's able to get on at those times. We love to have you. Today our finding technique is on auctions, and this is one of my favorite ways of finding property because to me it's a fun way of doing things. And there are a couple of ways of doing it through either public or private auctions, and we're going to go ahead and do some good, bad, and ugly, maybe with both. So I'm excited to be on the webinar with you today. Just wanting to kind of give you a big overview and chat with you today about how auctions will work, and why you would want to purchase at auctions, why you may not want to purchase at an auction, but in general, why it's good to go to an auction, period. So, my name is Ellen Gardner, and if you're joining me for your first webinar, I have actually been an investor and coach since about 2002, 2003. I have done all kinds of creative things financially. One of the last deals that I did was a quitclaim deed that I picked up and flipped in Pennsylvania, and it was lots of fun. Love doing it. I do a lot of wholesale deals. In fact, I've done probably over 150 wholesale deals, probably over 50 flips. I'm also a mom of 3 teenagers and one really awesome husband, so I keep busy, and I love coaching. This is my way of being able to give back. I have been a national speaker and a licensed agent in a couple of states. I also owned a construction company that we did the construction for REO projects from the bank, and love it. Love getting my hands dirty sometimes, not all the time, but it's been super fun. So I'm so excited for you guys to be joining me. I want you to know a little bit about the company that you're working with. First off, Do Hard Money. Do Hard Money is a great company. You may have seen us in featured articles on Realtor.com or like Money Street, or the Money Show, Money Show, and various other webinars or podcasts that Ryan is able to get on, and we love being able to do that and share with others our experience. We also have a fantastic YouTube channel, gives you lots of really great information. My favorite is our success stories, so you should check out the YouTube channel because it's really good motivation, and you get to meet some of your fellow, I guess, classmates here at Do Hard Money who are working this and making it successful for them. So I want to kind of get going and have you guys, if you have questions, then you can write them in the chat. I'd love to be able to help out where I can, but let's go ahead and get going on our auctions. So today is going to be kind of packed full because auctions can be pretty big. It's a pretty big topic. But I wanted to start out by telling you guys how does a house get to an auction, actually. So there's 2 different foreclosure processes that could happen. One is a judicial foreclosure and one is a non-judicial foreclosure. That will just depend on your state. A judicial foreclosure is where a lawsuit needs to be filed in the court for it to foreclose. Then it will go to a sheriff's sale, and then if it doesn't sell at sheriff's sale, it goes to a real estate agent to be listed. Then there is a non-judicial foreclosure, which is actually, it doesn't need to go through the court system to foreclose. It generally takes a lot less time. One of the things that needs to be done with a non-judicial foreclosure is that it has to be published in the papers. And once it's published, then it's given a certain amount of time and then it goes to an auction. And again, these are based on your state laws, if you're judicial or non-judicial state, how that would work. You could even Google that to see what your state is, judicial or non-judicial. So that's kind of how a pre-foreclosure happens. Once somebody has not been able to pay on their property or are struggling to pay on it, they will have a pre-foreclosure. And that is when we can go in and actually help a seller to be able to save their property, basically, or save them out of foreclosure. I remember being able to go and sit with a family one time who was in a pre-foreclosure situation because he had lost his job and they needed help being able to sell the property. They were upside down, and this was right before 2007 hit. And I was able to go into the property. The more questions I asked, the more that they gave me an idea as far as how I would be able to work with them. And ultimately, it ended up that I was able to purchase the property from them. They also had a second on the property, but I was able to purchase the property before it went into that auction state. And that is what's considered a pre-foreclosure and a short sale. When a bank actually agrees to take less than what's owed on the property, it's considered a short sale. And those are great to get on. If you can get on a pre-foreclosure, those are wonderful ways of being able to work with the seller in general, first off, before it gets to that point. That way we can help them. Again, we're investors, we're problem solvers. That's our job. We're able to help people. Okay, guys? I'm going to share some slides with you real quick here and be able to have you kind of see as we go, kind of a thing. So, okay, so once a foreclosure happens, or it's the auction process is started, a trustee is put on the property. And those are the people that you can get a hold of after that time period that somebody has, which is called a notice of default time period. They're sent a letter stating they have generally, and on average, it's about 3 months before that property will go into default. And once that property goes into default, a trustee is put on it. And that trustee actually is like an attorney who is in charge of the property until it goes to auction. Now, you like my little zombie picture? A lot of the properties that you see, so let's say that you're driving down a street and you see a property, it's got some tall weeds, it looks like there may be like a yellow or an orange sticker on the door or a window. Those are generally going to be foreclosed properties. Abandoned foreclosed properties are called zombie properties, and that's why my little buddy's there. But those ones are ones that either weren't able to sell, the bank couldn't work with the owner didn't want to work with the bank. For whatever reason, empty property, generally it's in a foreclosure process. So look for those types of properties because they're great to be able to get on, and you know kind of where that process is going. Okay, guys? Now, this is where we go into our auction houses. And I say auction houses meaning who holds these properties. These are going to be auction sites, basically, that give you access to properties. This, for instance, gives you access to any information such as where it's going to be held, as you can see, the courthouse. It gives you the day and the time. It gives you title information. this specific site gives you that information. And a lot of the sites will give you that information. And if not, that's okay, because we're going to be doing title searches anyway. One of the biggest things that you want to do with one thing that I have done with an auction property, I'll actually go and drive the street of the property itself. A lot of the time there will be people in it, so I don't, go and look through windows, things like that. But these are going to be properties that you'll be able to tell if they're in good neighborhoods, if it's like the only one on the street that may be needing some help, rehab, you can tell. Those are ideal. Those are going to be in neighborhoods that will sell quickly, or you can wholesale them quickly as well. So keep that in mind when you're looking. We won't necessarily be able to get in on these properties unless you have a realtor who, and the property has a lockbox. The realtor will be able to get into the property. To give you an idea what kind of rehab needs to happen, my suggestion is to take your general contractor with you when you go through these properties, so they can kind of pinpoint the things that are going to need to be rehabbed. If you can't get into a specific property, then kind of gauge it by the outside. The outside generally will kind of give you an idea of what the inside will look like. That's not always the case, but in most times it is. Now, when you walk through a piece of property, if you can, the private lenders or the private auctions are the ones that most of the time you'll be able to get in beforehand. You want to do your due diligence, because that's going to save you from making mistakes with auction properties. So take your GC. Now, you won't be able to see what's in behind the walls per se, but you will be able to see that most likely it'll probably need a new kitchen, new bathrooms, painting, flooring. Those are in general the types of properties that you will come across with auction properties. Now, they give you that time frame to be able to go through the property and do your due diligence. So this specific link and this specific picture is through auction.com. And again, they will either do bidding online, or they will do the bidding at courthouses in general. Now, I've been to the courthouse steps. I've had people go to the courthouse steps, and it goes pretty fast. And that's why you want to have your due diligence done before you go there. So I want you to be able to go through the neighborhood, drive that neighborhood, kind of get an idea as far as the house goes, what the general outlay of the house is looking like. That if you can't get in it, then you're going to know, in general, kitchens, baths, flooring, paint, those are going to be things that you'll need to work with. If you can't get in the property, then take your general contractor with you, because that's going to be the person who's doing the work. We want them to give us the bid. So going to the auction, it goes fast. And if we know our numbers, if we know which property it is that we're looking at and want to be able to bid on, then we can get in on that. Now, if we go and we're not prepared, we may lose that property. However, what I suggest is I want everybody to go to at least one. I want you to go to a private auction, and I want you to go to a public auction. And this week's webinar gift is actually websites for auction houses or auction venues that you can attend and that you can get information for. So don't forget to get those, because that will actually kind of guide you and give you information on where to go to look for these properties, okay? Now, one of the things that I want you to understand is that going to the courthouse is a little different than a private auction. Private auctions are going to be held generally at the residence, and the public auctions are going to be held generally at a courthouse. That's not always the case, but in most cases, that's how it works. Like I said, it goes pretty fast. Just have to have your due diligence done, and then you can make bids. Now, each auction site is going to be different. Some auctions have to be cash, some do not. So private auctions are going to be more of those auctions that you are able to take earnest money, put your earnest money down for the winning bid, and then fund that within 30 to 40 days per se, such as there are multiple websites that you'll get that information that they will fund it within 30 to 40 days, or that you can get it funded within 30 to 40 days. Not that they'll fund it, but you can get it funded, which is great because that gives you time to work with a hard money lender and be able to get that money funded for that property. All you have to take is the earnest money check. And if you're going to a public auction, a lot of the times you'll want to have a partner who is your money partner doing that with you, because they like to have their properties paid for within 24 hours. So you're putting down payment, earnest money ahead of time, and then funding it in that 24 hours. So there's good and there's bad with either public and private auctions. And either way, you're going to get the experience of going and knowing what everybody's doing. So one of the things that I love about it is being able to connect with so many other investors as well. I love to take my business card and talk to other people about what it is they do. What kind of properties are they looking for? If I come across something that they're interested in, would they want information about it? So get cards from other people while you're there. A lot of the time afterwards, people scatter, they're done, they go home. So go a little bit ahead of time. Ooh, one more thing. Before you go to the auction, call ahead. Call the recorder's office or the venue that gives you the information about customer service. Call them, because if the property's been saved, meaning the individuals have paid up on the property or they've sold the property, if it's been saved, then they won't have the auction. If it hasn't been saved, then they're going to hold the auction. But you don't want to get all the way to the courthouse or to the residence and have there not be an auction there for you to go to. So always call ahead, then you're not making that extra trip. Okay, guys? Now, that's the difference between private and public auctions. And let's see, just kind of checking things out here. Oh, earnest money, as I was talking about, earnest money. You'll want to take a cashier's check as earnest money, because that cashier's check basically says you're going to buy that property. It is usually non-refundable. So if you choose not to, that is not refundable, but you've already won the property with the bid. So find the funds. They're out. There's lots and lots of investors out there. And because you're part of Do Hard Money, we have a huge conglomerate of investors themselves that's what we're here for. This is what we want you to do. So apply for your loan and let's get you approved, okay? That would be for private funding. If you want a public loan or a public lender or auction, public auction, if you're going to a public auction house, then check Craigslist. Craigslist has lots of people who will have the signage of "We Buy Houses." Have them go with you. Start making team members, building your team, okay? And these people will be part of your team to work with in the future as well. So take an earnest money cashier's check, and that they will tell you ahead of time what that would be on their website. Generally, there's a certain amount of money that you will take as earnest money, and then be able to fund it under their terms. Okay, guys? So I want to jump back to rehabbing real quick, because that's a lot of people's questions with how do I get into a property to see it before I purchase the property. Because in a lot of the instances, if it's public, you can get in with an agent. If it's not, then you have to just kind of see what's going on in the outside. My suggestion is to always veer on the side of adding more to a rehab cost than less. So let's say if you think the kitchen, bathrooms, paint, carpet, things like that are going to be $20,000, I would suggest going a little higher, probably around $25,000, just so that you kind of get everything conglomerated into that, just in case if you open walls and there are mold issues, whatever it may be, you've already added that in to the cost of the property when you go in to bid on this property. Now, bidding is like eBay. Has anyone ever been on eBay and where you wanted to win something so bad, and so you just bid and bid and bid, and really ultimately you've bid more than really what the product is worth? Don't do that. Let's do our due diligence, and let's actually know those numbers before we go in. So let's say there's a property that is going to auction, and it's a private auction. We meet at the house. Let's say this property is on auction for $100,000. Now, one of the things with the auctions is that a lot of the time when a bank has to take that property back from somebody, they will start an auction at basically what's owed on the property. And so let's say this property is $100,000. Okay, so we go there, we know that this property is probably going to need about $25,000 worth of work. So we're going to go in knowing that $100,000, $125,000, $125,000, that's probably about where we're going to have to be on this property. But once it's fixed and sold, or once it's fixed up, we could sell it for, say, $225,000. Well, great, that's great. But how much do we want to go over our $125,000 just to win the bid? Okay, guys. It gets so exciting, and like I said, it goes so fast, so we have to keep our wits about us. We have to be able to go into this knowing that we can't go over a certain amount, because that will take part of profit, that will take part of the cost of money. There are things that we have to think of as well. The holding cost to make sure it's repaired in that amount of time. We have to pay utilities on that. So we don't want to get too crazy with bidding, but saying, okay, $150,000, that's as high as we can go. If somebody bids more than that, that's okay. It's okay to lose a property at an auction, because we know either they have a really, really good system and they're okay with losing money, or they don't, and they will probably lose money, but we don't want to do that. Okay, so always know that it's okay to lose the property at the auction. It's not okay to lose the money at an auction. So once you go in and you know those numbers, we know this is where we stop. We can't go higher than this at the auction. So if you have access to, which you should, your ADA, your advanced deal analysis, utilize that to go in and do numbers before the auction. Like I said, specifically with private auctions, you can get in there and you can actually look at the property and you can figure out numbers. So then when you go to the auction, this isn't something scary about knowing how much should I bid, what should I not bid. It's all about your due diligence. Okay, now, like I said in the beginning, the webinar gift today is the auction sites that you can go to. Now, I've been to all of these sites. I have looked them up. They all work, and they're great sites for finding property. They may be in specific areas such as Georgia or Kentucky or just in general, anywhere, Texas. But utilize the information that they have on their websites. Check out their FAQs. They're so helpful for giving you the information, such as how much money do I need to bring to the table in a cashier's check? Or what is it that I need to do to put an offer in or a bid in? Generally, all you have to do is you take an ID, got to take your ID and sign up. You get a little bidding card, and those are dangerous again, so be careful. But that's basically how the process works. So don't forget to take your ID with you as well. And all that information is on these websites. How much money you're going to need for your earnest money, how much money, if any, for any kind of other deposits or fees that they may have. It's all going to be on their websites. In fact, some of them have really good ideas on where to go for private auctions versus public auctions, where to go on their site to get the information that you need to bid, and how to win these properties. Okay, guys? Now, like I said, Do Hard Money has the webinar gift today is the sites that we have available to you. And like I said, I've utilized these sites. They're great sites to go to. And I want you to be able to utilize that information. Again, this is free information, and you can get all the information that you need on these sites and their FAQs, just trolling around the site itself, okay? Now, once again, our coaching program is, I'm one of the coaches here that you would get with Do Hard Money. I would love to be able to work with you if you are serious about getting involved in doing your real estate investing through auctions, or through your probate attorney, or doing your for rent by owners, whatever it is. I would love to be able to work with you. However, it is by application, and we're looking for people who are serious about really wanting to progress and to really get going with their investing careers. I know everybody wants that, and I know that it's something that a lot of people have thought about doing. My suggestion is just to apply. Just apply and see where it does take you, because I love working with clients. I have amazing clients that have done amazing things. In fact, being able to utilize the ways of finding that we're talking about is a big part of coaching. How can you find property, and what is it that you want to look for when you're finding property? Now, I'm just curious to find out if anybody has any kind of questions through this webinar. If you do, go ahead and put them in the chat. And if I don't get them, if I can't get to all of them, then I can email you as well. But it doesn't look like I have any coming in, so I'm hoping there's no technical difficulties. All right, you guys. So get out there. I want you to, your assignment. Remember, I always give you an assignment. Your assignment for the week is to get to an auction. Check out these auction websites and get to one of them. It is, first off, they're super fun just to go and experience. But secondly, it's great to get the information, okay? So I look forward to working with you guys. Join us next week. You actually get a treat next week. We're doing our webinar on wholesaling. Wholesaling is huge. Like I said, I've done over 150 deals wholesaling because I'm a mom. I coach, I invest. So I do a lot of wholesaling and I love it. To me, it's fun. All I have to do is make the deal. I don't have to do the hard part of it anymore. So let me actually answer. I have a couple questions coming in. So Anthony, what's the max funding amount for online auctions? The max is endless, which is they don't care how much you bid online. But again, it's about doing our due diligence so that we don't bid more than what the property is actually worth. So that's going to be in that example of the $100,000 property, $25,000 in rehab, but we have the cost of our money. So we don't want to go over a certain amount, no matter where we're at, if it's online or if it's a courthouse or at a residence. So just keep that in mind. We don't want to go over, but due diligence. And again, check out the sites. They have tons of information, lots of FAQs, lots of facts and knowledge-based information that you guys can get. And again, next week, wholesaling, it's going to be huge. We have a special guest doing that one. So look forward to working with you guys in the future. Again, I would love to be able to coach you and look forward to working with you some more. I hope you guys got a lot out of this one for auctions. Good luck with everything. Until next week, don't forget to do your assignment. Have a great week.